We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
In the year 2053, following the first outbreak of a deadly new viral infection, the new plague, J.L. Swedenborg was, during a Navy gala, terminally infected by the virus. His death no less than imminent. John's father's occupation as the director of the National Security Agency had led their family to be welcomed into a shadow organization by the name of the Enclave. This group sponsored Swedenborg's education and career to gain more influence over the Navy. In their greedy eyes, Swedenborg was nothing but a helpful asset, and they eventually made arrangements to ensure the safety of their plans. Swedenborg's consciousness would be uploaded to a synthetic body only weeks later. For this, they enlisted the services of Dr. Erhard Mueller of the CIT. The good doctor's cutting-edge work on the classified biorobotics project, Project Lazarus, had also landed him a spot in the Enclave. The project intended to ensure the survival and longevity of various self-important officials within the higher echelons of the pre-war government. The project consisted of creating and researching synthetic humanoid life forms. Through his research, Dr. Mueller and his team were able to upload Swedenborg's mind onto the Lazarus Mark I, the groundbreaking humanoid android body. This new shell was not aimed to serve as armor or a weapon. Instead, its purpose was to be and to appear as human as possible. It was designed to keep as many attributes from the human body as possible, such as taste, smell, sense, and possibly even reproductivity. All in all, making him almost indistinguishable from other humans. The doctor himself, however, was not as fortunate, ultimately dying from the excruciating symptoms of the very same virus he had saved Swedenborg from following its second major outbreak in 2062. Most of his research was so classified that it likely followed him to the grave, save for a few scientific studies kept in the underground archives of the CIT building in Boston, Massachusetts. Swedenborg was doomed to an unending existence in this foreign prison of metal. From here on, he would constantly carry the internal struggle between flesh and metal, human and machine, his brain and the onboard Zax processor. His life became cold and agonizing, only fighting on from the respect of the men he led. His mind yearned not for his well-being, but for that of the nation. For the red, white, and blue. His human body is now nothing more than a distant memory in his processor banks. John Swedenborg served the Navy with excellence and valor, never doubting or questioning his orders or mission. During the 5 years between his partaking in Project Lazarus and his first deployment, the Navy commissioned him as an assistant to his old professor at the Naval Academy. In 2058, the Navy reassigned Swedenborg to peacekeeping station on the other side of the sea, in the gradually more unstable countryside of Great Britain. For the last 6 years, the European Commonwealth had been occupied with an auxiliary war over oil in the Middle East. As this war approached its bitter end, the European Commonwealth quickly destabilized. Many of its member nations ended up worse for wear. Britain was the worst affected. Being a nation that relied heavily on the petrol trade from her colonies, Britain's economy quickly went through a massive recession. Eventually, it collapsed completely, leaving her population starving and uneasy. Through his deployment to the islands, the 27-year-old John Swedenborg grew very fond of the nation's culture, bringing with him many souvenirs and trinkets from the Isles.